Thank you very much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. This system definitely looking worse than it is. So I want to get to everything in this video. It looks like tropical storm and then hurricane conditions are going to be likely for some of us. I want to go island by island, try to break this down for you. Now, I don't have any fancy sponsors. I don't do this channel for anything other than safety. You could subscribe or not subscribe, but please spread the word about this system. That's why I do this channel. So if you could get the word out for safety's sake, this is going to impact a lot of us in the northeastern Caribbean and then the northern Caribbean as it eventually becomes Hurricane Ernesto. In this video, I want to go over the models, I want to go over the winds and the impact areas and what we need to do to stay safe as this area approaches. Again, it's not going to impact all of us, but it is going to continue to strengthen into a tropical storm in about a day or two, and then a hurricane after that. So let me get to the safety part of this first. That is most important. Again, please just spread the word about this, get this out of here. Now, we're in action mode. That means we need to start taking preparations to stay safe. And I know we all have vastly different means and resources. Hopefully we could help each other out as we watch this, but these are the locations. Now, the next couple days I'll fine tune more of the impacts, but anywhere from Martinique, right on the edge of St. Lucia, watching St. Lucia, Barbados, but more so Martinique, Dominica, just to the north as we get back toward Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, St. Martin, over toward St. Bart's, the U.S., British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts, Nevis, Saba, Montserrat, these locations back into Puerto Rico. Now is the time to start making those preparations for a tropical storm conditions, and then eventually this should be stronger closer to the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, in which it could become a hurricane at that point. So again, we want to start making the preparations, getting the word out there about this system. And then watching the Dominican Republic and Haiti. I'm not quite sure yet. This will start to make a curve, but even in the Dominican Republic and Haiti, please get the word out. When I'm done this video, I'm actually going to be contacting my friends in Haiti, the DR, and Puerto Rico, because at that point, it looks like it will be even stronger as it comes through. So here's the most likely path of this as it stands now. This is weather. It's hard to forecast the weather just 2-3 days out, yet alone 4 or 5 days in advance. I expect this map to change and I'll adjust it as we go forward. But as of now, this area will be approaching Dominica and Guadeloupe, at least initially early in the week by the time we hit a Monday. At that point, it should be either a tropical storm or close to it at the least. Even if it's not a tropical storm, there's going to be a lot of rain, flooding rain with this. Then this will cross over near St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat. And again, it's not just, these aren't just a tiny dot or a center point. These are large systems, and that's why Anguilla, Antigua, and Barbuda, we're making those preparations in case this were to shift a little bit more to the north, get stronger, quicker, safety first. And then as this gets near the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, that's when it could start to develop into a hurricane. It could be a hurricane on top of Puerto Rico, just south of Puerto Rico, nearby Puerto Rico, and then make its way toward the Dominican Republic and close to Haiti. At that point, does it kind of curl more to the north or does it work its way across Hispaniola? Not sure on that angle, but Monday it's going to continue to strengthen as it gets close to Dominica, Guadeloupe, Montserrat. Tuesday it should be a tropical storm, and then by Wednesday becoming a hurricane and an intensifying hurricane. Conditions warrant more development out of that. So here we are in Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and of course a lot of us have had some rain around this morning. St. Martin, St. Croix, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago. That's with an initial tropical wave. We talked about that yesterday, but it's this spot here. Now I'm watching not just the models, the environmental conditions. And again, that's why days ago I was mentioning how this would strengthen. The models didn't quite have that. Other resources weren't showing that, but I was seeing that with the environment. Here's that dry air, but it's still, this is that orange shading, some dust around. It's not as much as we had about 3 weeks ago when that dust peaked. So this area can kind of create its own environment and kind of bump out some of this dry air, and that's what's going to happen, and that's why it's going to continue to strengthen. Getting a look at some of the models. Now, hopefully, there's still a chance that this would make a quicker curve to the north. A few of the models show that. Sometimes the Canadian and Icon model show that making a quicker turn. That would be amazing. But at this point, we just can't take those chances. We need to take some of those preparations. Here's Guadeloupe, for example. And you see this can move right over anywhere from Dominica up through Antigua and Barbuda, Anguilla, and then work its way closer to Puerto Rico. I mentioned the uncertainty after Puerto Rico as it starts to make its curve. Here's Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Most of the indications are a turn a little bit to the north, but I've been noticing this season a few of the models have been turning things quicker than what actually happens. That's why the European model was off with Debbie. They were turning it quicker, and then it snuck into the Gulf of Mexico. So taking no chances. Haiti, the Dominican Republic, back through Puerto Rico. We are watching this, and of course in Puerto Rico, making some of those at least initial preparations at this point. Now, how strong does this get? I know this map is weird. This is 24 hours out in time, 2 days out in time, 3 days, 4 days out in time. This is the green shading here, tropical storm, category 1 in the yellow here. And point being, this will continue to just strengthen into a tropical storm. That's going to happen. And then there are more indications that this does become a hurricane. It's just a matter of kind of when it becomes a hurricane. Now, the European model, American, Canadian, and Icon all have this becoming a hurricane, but not at this point here. Anywhere from, as I showed you in that most likely path, near the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, or a little bit closer to the Turks and Caicos and southern Bahamas. That's when it may become a hurricane. So we're not necessarily going to see this ramping up today into hurricane status, but it's just going to continue to get stronger. But all of the models show it strengthening over the next 4, 5, and 6 days. Now, looking at some of those environmental conditions, I mentioned what's going on above. I'm watching the wind shear as well. I'm watching the dry air as I showed you. These water temperatures very warm right where this would cross over, 30, 31 degrees Celsius. 86 to 88 degrees Fahrenheit, but this is the key. I was talking about this in January when you joined me. The heat content, the biggest key to the entire hurricane season is right here. It's these hot pockets. These are it's not just warm water, but it's warm deep water. As these systems roll across, it churns up the water. Sometimes they churn up cooler water, and that helps us. But in this case, these hot pockets right through here churns up just more warm water, and that acts like fuel for these things, and that's why we saw things rapidly intensify. That's what we saw happen with Beryl. That's why I was giving you the heads up on that as Beryl moved in. This one should run into the warm water and start to cross over some of these at least warmer pockets of water of a higher heat content, and that should allow it to get stronger. Now, let's start with the American model, show you the European model, just to give you a comparison. And of course, as I mentioned, there's uncertainty, but we're leaning with safety together, making some of those preps. Here's that first tropical wave. Here's the area we're watching. I'm going to show you this, the winds, and the European model ahead. Let's get to this. Here we go. Let's go out in time. This is by tomorrow afternoon. Now, the American model is showing this getting stronger sooner. A couple of the other models do that as well. These fronts up to the north, this is key. The fronts can help kind of grab these things and turn it to the north quicker. I'm really hoping this front comes in a little bit stronger than it's showing now, because I would love this to come more to the north. I don't like hurricanes, don't wish this on anyone. Of course, Bermuda, I'm watching us down the road, and then up toward the Atlantic region of Canada. But right here, this is Monday. The American model in 2 days is showing this becoming a tropical storm. So a little sooner. Some of the models just have it as a big blob of rain at this point. There's the front to the north. So this is Monday. Most of the action's still off to the east, right? But by Monday night and Tuesday, that's when the heavier weather would move in. This is Tuesday with tropical storm conditions. So at the least, even if this doesn't develop, which would be great in the short term, we're going to see some heavier rain moving in. But the American model shows a tropical storm on Tuesday sliding right in. That would even draw some rain, kind of feed it up toward, say, Trinidad, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia and Barbados. But here, as we get into Wednesday, that's when it would strengthen. This model shows it kind of skirting by just to the south of the Virgin Islands and just to the south and nearby Puerto Rico, and then kind of starting to swing to the north. Here's that front by Bermuda, and that's what will eventually turn it. So here's Haiti and the Dominican Republic. So at this point on Wednesday, a hurricane on top of or nearby Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, and then trying to curl to the north. So big question mark for Haiti down the road. Does it trek more to the west? And then watching the Turks and Caicos and southern Bahamas at this point. And you could see here, again, starting to make the turn, but almost all of the models have this as a hurricane at this point, very close to the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and then lifting up to the north. Here's Jamaica. As of now, Jamaica, Cayman Islands, I'm not seeing this trekking off to the west, but you know I'm watching that. And then here by Friday, starting to lift to the north and watching Bermuda at this point with these fronts, keeping it more to the east of the U.S. right there. Now, we saw this play out with Debbie, where they had things kind of turn earlier and then it snuck a little bit more to the west. So I'm watching kind of those scenarios as we go forward. Now, looking at the winds, this is an early indication of the strengthening. Kilometers an hour and miles per hour on the key there to keep everyone covered. Let's go into Monday. This is Monday. See that white shading right there? Most of the action to the east. That would be winds gusting to about 50 miles per hour or 80 kilometers an hour at that point. Tell me we've got a strengthening system, tropical depression, or turning into a tropical storm at that point. Stopping it here. Here's Guadalupe. Here's Dominica. This is by the time we get into Tuesday morning. That's when tropical storm conditions would be moving in for us. Anywhere from Martinique north, but Dominica, Guadalupe, Antigua, and Barbuda, Saba, Statia, St. Kitts and Nevis, we'd have a tropical storm on top of us on Tuesday morning. And then as it gets closer to the British and U.S. Virgin Islands by Tuesday afternoon, that's when it should strengthen further. You see some of the winds, that red showing up, 70 mile per hour winds or 110 kilometers an hour, and then getting, unfortunately, more organized as it gets closer to Puerto Rico. Some of the yellow showing up, which would be winds of 145 kilometers an hour or 90 miles per hour. This would be by Wednesday. So we'll see if this is on top of Puerto Rico or just to the south. We'll see how close it is to the Virgin Islands. It just depends on that front to the north, how quickly it's going to make that turn. But this is by Wednesday morning, and then after this, some uncertainty. Does this just roll into the Dominican Republic, take an earlier turn, or are we talking about kind of it working its way over toward Haiti? But those are kind of the early indications of a strengthening system, showing you some of the winds. Now, here's the European model. Most of the models have been pretty similar as a whole, which gives me higher confidence to the forecast. Here's that blocker, that area of high pressure to the north. Here are these fronts. So this area of high pressure keeps this moving to the west in the short term, but here we are in the Caribbean. But let's go long term. The green would be some of the rain. Now, the European model, I hope it does this, at least in the short term, because it doesn't show the development as quickly. This here is by Monday, and you see Monday, a developing area, just like the American model, but still most likely it's saying, hey, maybe not a tropical storm at this point, but look at that blocker. That starts to work away, right? That starts to slide away. That gives this an opportunity to make the turn. How soon will it turn? Waiting and seeing on that, of course. That's going to dictate some of those impacts down the road. But then it starts to turn it into a tropical storm by the time we get into Tuesday. Very close or on top of the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Very close or on top of Puerto Rico. This is by Tuesday. So the European model at this point has it developing into a tropical storm on Tuesday. And here are these fronts. There's that area of high pressure that has kicked more off toward the east there, allowing this to start to make a turn. So let's go from Tuesday into Wednesday. And you can see here as we get into Wednesday, strengthening right near Puerto Rico, strong tropical storm or a hurricane very close or on top of Puerto Rico on Tuesday. You see it right here, and this is by Wednesday, starting to make the turn to the north. High pressure is way the heck away, so that's why it would make a turn. But again, Dominican Republic, Haiti, big question marks with that. And then the European model, you can see how this is somewhat similar to the American model, starts to lift it to the north, generally to the east of the Bahamas. That would be some better news for the Bahamas, strengthen this into a strong, potentially major hurricane at this point, trying to get caught up into this front. And then what happens after this, there would be a lot of uncertainty down the road. This is way down the road. This is by the time we get into a week from now. Will it be near Bermuda? Will high pressure temporarily build in? That's a concern for the season, by the way, is these sneaky areas of high pressure building in back behind it. We saw that years ago with Hurricane Sandy, where you get a little area of high pressure building in, something looks like it's going to stay over the water, and then it kind of kicks back in. Put that on the back burner, but did just kind of want to let you know about that. And you can see everything with the seas here. This is the tropical wave moving in, the one today, bumpier seas. This here is what we're watching that should become Ernesto. And then this here, these higher seas around Newfoundland over toward New Brunswick, that's with the remnants, the leftovers of Debbie. So going forward, this is by tomorrow. Seas are going to build. For all the mariners out there, you know better than I do, it is going to get very, very rough. Seas building. Here's meters. There's feet on the right-hand side of your screen. And then just a mess by the time we get into Monday and Tuesday with those seas, northeastern Caribbean, eastern Caribbean, and then northern Caribbean. This is by the time we get into Wednesday. Things will be building dramatically, of course, in the waters as this system strengthens. So at the least, we're going to get these impacts that are going to roll in the form of flooding, mudslides, mudslide potential. How soon it develops, that's what I'm watching, and when does it take its turn, that's what I'm watching. But the next name on the list is Ernesto, so this should become Tropical Storm Ernesto, and then eventually Hurricane Ernesto, Francine and Gordon, the next couple of names on the list. But we are starting to make those preparations. We are in action mode. Now in the short term, look at that bubbling up near Trinidad and Tobago. That's what I was mentioning earlier. We've had some of that through the Virgin Islands with some of the rain. St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada. We've actually, St. Vincent and the Grenadines in Grenada, excuse me, we've had some of the rain that's been working by. That's not with the major system that I'm watching. This is that first tropical wave bringing in some of that extra rain as expected. St. Lucia, we could get some scattered showers and storms. Barbados. But look what happens as we watch to the east here. You see it right there. This is on Sunday. This is tomorrow afternoon. We're making those preparations right through here because as we work our way into Monday, whatever this area is, will start to roll in. This is the American model. Has it becoming a tropical storm on Monday? Hopefully it's not at that point. But either way, you can see it here. That's going to bring in at least the rain, gusty kind of squally winds. This would be by Tuesday. You see St. Lucia, Barbados on the edge of it. But again, most of the action would be just to the north. And then this should continue to strengthen as it works its way off to the west-northwest Tuesday into Wednesday. Back over here watching this blob near Mexico. Things have quieted down a little bit on the eastern Pacific side. This should develop a little bit, hopefully staying away from Mexico, just kind of watching that. And I mentioned the Atlantic region of Canada. These are the remnants of Debbie near Newfoundland today. Again, not tropical in nature. All of this continues to work our way as we get into tonight. And then watching scattered showers, but of course for the Atlantic region of Canada and points to the south, monitoring the system down to the south that is developing because it could kind of take a weird turn once we get into about a week from now if that second area of high pressure does build in. As far as rain totals go the next few days, not super high. I'm going to zoom down island by island as we go forward for the rain totals, for the winds and the impacts of this system. Short term, just some spots getting 25 millimeters of rain or an inch of rain for today. It's going to be a little bit higher with this tropical wave moving by. If you get some of those thunderstorms and then St. Lucia south through Trinidad, that's where we could see some totals today over 50 millimeters or 2 inches of rain. Some of us have already had that with the thunder, the lightning around with that first tropical wave clipping by northeastern sections of Venezuela. Guyana interior sections, better chance of some rain scattered about as we work our way back towards Central America. Pop-up shower storm possible for us in Jamaica, over toward the Cayman Islands. Much of Mexico, not as much in the rain bucket. So for Jamaica, we're looking at scattered showers and storms, 20 to 30% chance today across the Cayman Islands. I want to recap things in a moment. 50 to 60% chance the next 2 days in Trinidad and Tobago. It's been so active today, and then that rain chance gradually drops off. Barbados, 40 to 50% chance for today. All eyes on what's going on off to the east. Next few days, St. Lucia, some scattered showers and some storms, around 60% chance for us in Grenada today. We've had some thunder and lightning around. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a 60% chance for us today. 50% chance tomorrow in Martinique. Of course, Martinique to the north, Dominica included. We are starting to make some of those preparations for this system that will be close by late Monday into Tuesday. Guadeloupe, 30 to 40% chance. We could have a tropical system on top of us. Same thing Antigua and Barbuda early next week. Rain chance in the short term, 30 to 40% chance. Isolated shower popping up St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat. 40% chance today. Anguilla and St. Bart's. We're making those preps. St. Martin, Saba, Statia, 30% chance of an isolated storm. Making those preparations. Puerto Rico, please spread the word. 40 to 50% chance of scattered showers and storms today. But all eyes on what's going on out there in the Atlantic. Same thing U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Rain chance 30 to 40%. Pop-up shower across the Bahamas. Kind of limited across the Turks and the Caicos. Mainly dry today. 30 to 40% chance in the Dominican Republic. Pop-up shower storm possible in Haiti. And if you are dry, we are very hot. 30 to 40% chance for us in Belize. Mainly dry Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire. But with that tropical wave moving out of Trinidad, there is a chance we could get a few showers across the ABC Islands the next couple days. Guyana, 40 to 50% chance, and about a 40% chance in Suriname. Rain chance through the weekend, 30 to 40%. Isolated shower storm in Cuba, 40 to 50% chance Costa Rica and Panama, 40% chance as we get back toward Nicaragua, 30 to 40% chance in Honduras, better chance eastern sections, 50% chance Guatemala and El Salvador, 40 to 50% chance in Mexico City. That is down somewhat, and watching out for a few pop-up passing showers and storms across the Yucatan, Cancun, Cozumel, back toward Merida, northern Colombia, 30 to 40% chance, 40% chance in northern Venezuela, and watching out for a pop-up shower possible in Bermuda. All eyes on Bermuda, watching what's going to happen with this system. So we are in action mode in those locations I showed you at the beginning of this video, making some of those preparations. Not going to hit all of us. I'll be able to fine tune it as we go over the next few days, of course, even more so island by island. But this area will get stronger, and it could be a Hurricane Ernesto, in just a few days. So please, spread the word about this, and thank you for doing so, and thank you for your trust as we go throughout the hurricane season. We'll continue to track it together storm by storm. I hope you're doing well. I'll be watching this around the clock. As you know, have a good day ahead.